So I can tell you that he won in 2013 by Internetworld one of the most digital entrepreneurs. He also won the Golden Mobile Gala. He turned the business 360 degrees a couple of weeks ago. We've heard on the news when he closed down part of the business and recreated an entire new business towards B2Bs. When I first met him, after I left the office, I felt like what am I doing with my life? All the motivational things that you read by entrepreneurs and startups, like this guy is actually not reading them, he's not writing them, he's actually living them. So please give a very warm welcome to the fantastic Arash Pendari. Okay, you can sit down. Did you like the introduction?
Let me turn my mic on. Hello? Wow. I feel so humble. You kidding me? Is this my introduction? All these people here to listen to my story?
Yeah, you see, you're very you're going to be a bit more famous now.
I really hope I have something interesting to say.
Yes, I hope so too. How are you?
I'm very good.
You? That's a good start.
Let's just give a hand to Startup Brian and the people that actually arranging this.
Actually, Startup Grind is a group of passionate people as well, like you, who do this for the community. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Yes. Okay, Arash. So you're good.
I'm very nervous.
You don't look. You never look nervous, you know.
I'm a very good actor.
That's why you're in the movie business.
Yeah.
Okay. So who is Arash? Could you tell us a bit more about your background, your childhood,
A person that is very confused, has identity problems, really don't know. No, just kidding. To be honest, when I grew up, I always wanted to create stuff.
Yeah.
And we moved around a lot during my childhood.
Okay, so let me help you.
Yeah.
When did you come to, were you born in Sweden?
I'm born in Iran.
Yeah.
I'm Persian. We left Iran when I was 4.
Yeah, we have some ooh.
Yeah. And we moved to Madrid, to Spain, and lived there until I was 6. And when I was around 6, we came to Sweden. And yeah, we moved a lot during those periods.
Yeah. I've heard you moved how many times before age?
Around 30 times, maybe.
Yeah.
So it was like a choice also. I moved from home when I was 15, and I enjoyed living in new places. So I lived in Gotland, I lived in Åre. I like living in new places and meeting new people all the time. As a young person, I can tell you this, that I had a very hard time feeling that I would fit into a group.
Mm-hmm.
Not just as we talk about, like you have like cheerleaders and quarterbacks and so on in schools. Mostly like I couldn't never feel like I could associate just one certain group. I was always interested in all of them.
Mm-hmm.
So
That was in school. But
yeah.
before we get that, I want you to talk about more about your parents. What did your parents do?
My father is he's a very aesthetic person. He writes music, he writes movie scripts, and he always wanted to tell the story of his life during the. He was very involved in the revolution in Iran during the hard times when I was born, and I'm very grateful actually for him bringing us overseas, to giving us the opportunity, because if I would stay there, probably wouldn't have this same story to tell.
Yeah. And your mom?
My mom, she's a nurse.
Hmm?
She studied pretty much her whole life to keep working with, helping with people. So now she's working actually with immigrant children, especially ones that come overseas with bigger problems and diseases like HIV or other problems that they help them.
Okay. And what happened? So you came to Sweden.
Mm-hmm.
What did you do when you came to Sweden? Where did you first land in?
When I came to Sweden, around 6 years old, we lived in Norrköping, in Östergötland. You can usually hear that on my östgötska, it's terrible. It's very unsexy. Living in Norrköping and Linköping in the beginning, studying aesthetics, konst och form, art and design. I always liked drawing, and I'm a very visual person. I'm not a big numbers person.
Okay.
I'm terrible at numbers.
Yeah. So what happened in school? You were telling me you didn't fit in. You had a nice story about some of the groups there.
This is actually fun because I have some of my friends here and they actually know the background behind this, but most of my best friends started out being my bullies. So I started out with like my friends in school bullying me, and I wouldn't call them friends by that moment, but as a very good salesperson, I kept selling myself to them until I actually infiltrated the bullies and started hanging out with them, and I'm actually friends with most of them now.
And they are here
Good
today.
friends.
Are
Some are here
Yeah.
that are friends.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, and anything special that did you like to do in school, like the classes?
I hated classes.
Yeah.
I have a very short attention span.
I know that.
Most of the people that know me knows that I have a very hard time sitting in the same place, talk about the same thing for a long period of time. And during our study periods, I had a hard time because we talked too much theory and didn't do enough in practice. And I always felt like if you want to learn something, you gotta grab on and just do it, and theory comes afterwards.
Yeah. And what happened after you graduated school?
After I graduated high school, I went to the university in Gotland, studying game and media development. During this period of time, I was very experimental with different projects, trying to do my own companies, create our own printing company, trying to print automatically, like you could order your own prints on clothes and coffee mugs and so on for your company, making a lot of home pages for different companies, and trying to really make something of ourselves during those period of times. And I felt like I never understood the risks that I took. It took me a long time to understand that what I did actually was including a lot of risk. I'm gonna get that a little bit further on.
Okay. And you had you had two nice stories in your university schools, I remember. So one was with the Photoshop teacher.
Yeah.
What happened there?
We were sitting, it's basically in Sweden when you study you take CSN loan, which is a lot of money that you get in debt. And I was very hard on our teachers that they should actually practically teach us stuff and not just talk in theory. And in the university, I took that to the next step. And our teacher we kept teaching our teacher how to use shortcuts in Photoshop or how to use the program much more efficient. And he had 20 points in panorama images, 360 from like really old studies, and it kept going on for a full term. And I started to get pissed. It's like we're really like we're borrowing money to be here and learn something. And we complained, and he got to move on from that job, and we got a much better teacher. And I think that's very important because in the university you are actually investing yourself, and you should get something back for that investment.
Yeah.
So I didn't tolerate that.
And were you working during the university years?
I worked as a dishwasher in a restaurant, and that's where I was. I worked as a dishwasher in a restaurant. You want to tell that story?
Yes, I wanted to tell that story.
My first actual job that I got from in the area that I work with today came up to me when I was working as a dishwasher in a restaurant, and this guy comes up there and tried to sell me a product called Gotland Mobil, which was supposed to be a local guide for people visiting Gotland. And nobody was in the restaurant. It was lunchtime, and I was by myself and very, very bored. And this guy is asking, like, can I talk to the owner of the restaurant? Yeah. Hi, Arash, nice to meet you. We sit down and we have a coffee and start telling me about the product, and I think, yeah, this is a really nice product. And he continues to tell about the project, and I'm very interested about the project, but I have no authority to buy anything. So I have to come up with something to tell him. So I'm like, yeah, I really like the basic idea, but how the product is shaped and you sell it not good enough for me. There's a lot of stuff to work on. Come back in 6 months and we can talk. And come back the next day, asking for the owner of the company, the restaurant. And he's actually there this time. And I'm holding like this big pile of dishes, walking there. And I see that guy step in, I start to get like really nervous. And he looks and I see he's talking to the owner and then starts laughing. And then he approaches me and tells that he understood that I'm not the owner of the company. And he offered me a project manager job in Åre to create something called Automobil, which was my first product I developed. And Skistar picked that product up later, creating a ski service for ski people that ski.
Mm-hmm.
I don't ski. I've been on skis twice. Both times I broke something. It was like information when, I don't know how to say that in English, the liftar, you guys know. Ski lifts, yes. Yeah. How when they broke down or something so people don't get stuck up there and like this kind of stuff. Yeah. So that was my first job, real job.
Yeah. So you went after that to Åre? After university?
I got stuck.
Did you graduate?
I never graduated.
No, you did drop out?
Yeah. It's. I gotta tell something here. I was doing my master's thesis and writing that, and during this period I was like looking at other people and what they were writing about. And I studied game development, so of course everybody in my class wrote about World of Warcraft, and like I couldn't really understand what the thesis was supposed to really be about. Is it only about game subjects, or is it the game world, and so on? So I decided to write about how to help game developers, in general developers, to get out in the workspace. Mm-hmm. So I created something called A-dagarna, and there people came from very known like EA Games and Paradox and Starbreeze and all these known Swedish game places, and recruited people there. Mm-hmm. And I wrote about how we could create a social environment where game developers have easier way to look for jobs, because they usually have very bad self-esteem. And they didn't approve of my subject, and they approved of the World of Warcraft subject, so I got pissed and I left.
Okay. So. Yeah, that's so you, I guess.
Yeah, I guess.
Yes. Okay, so did you do any other, you were talking about some projects before we go to Åre and what you did there. You said you automated processes for printing. Is there anything you want to talk about that part? Which year of the university was that?
This is by the second year, something, 1.5 years into it. We made a very interesting project where we created notepads for students, and we pretty much gave them away for free to students, and we sold commercials on the front page and the back page of these. We made a lot of money, and we invested all that money directly, and we lost all that money. Okay. So we didn't have any more money. Okay. That was my first very bad investment I made.
Okay. And and then you moved, you left college, and then you went to Åre.
Yes.
Okay. Exactly. What happened there?
I kept working with Automobil, and I started to work on a new project together with that company called Love the Beat, and it was supposed to be a very interesting streaming service for music. And then Spotify came. And I'm like, what? And I really didn't honestly understand any of the complications in the music industry. So I kind of moved on pretty quickly from there and went to my next job.
Yeah, which was?
Which was at Immunity Edge, which is a mobile company that no longer exists. They worked a lot with mobile campaigns, text messaging services, and this kind of solutions. And I worked at Mobile Manager, a lot of sales and a lot of product development.
Did you like to work in sales?
I hate sales.
You hate sales?
Yeah, I really hate sales. A good salesperson should never sell. If you ask me.
And when did your entrepreneurial journey start then?
It was around 2010. Mm-hmm. I got fired, believe it or not.
From?
From the work,
yeah.
at the age. And
Why were you fired?
don't ask me why. I was selling really good. No, actually the company was going very bad because the whole industry kind of was having it very hard by then. It was like the industry was growing up with taking a lot of money for home pages and mobile pages, and suddenly nobody wanted to pay those amounts of money for it, and it became much harder to survive in that area. And to cut downs, I had to go, and I decided that, yeah, during my whole process there, I was creating products, so I said, why not continue with this, and especially with something I love, movies. And that's where we got started to try to I have a DVD collection around 15,000 DVDs that I try to digitalize. Then I understood you need content licensing to actually sell them, or else it would be pirated.
So is this how the VionLabs idea came up?
Yeah, pretty much.
So this is 2010, just to put
yes,
the time frame. Yeah.
Exactly. The idea came up that we saw that a lot of video services was coming out, and people needed help to create these services, and we tried to make it much easier to get into the video industry.
Okay. And so what is VionLabs? So for people who don't know actually.
VionLabs' basic idea is to save time searching for the users and let them spend time watching their favorite content instead. So try to shorten the amount of time where you go from wanting to watch something to actually watching it. And basically, recommendation engines today don't know anything about what you're watching. They don't have any context on the program I'm watching right now, what it's about, and how it emotionally gets me to feel. What we've done at VionLabs is that we created a system that understands what you're watching and what it is about, and in what environment it is, and what emotional aspects there is to this content. Did it make you feel happy? Did it make you feel sad? And the technology we use behind this is a lot of psychological research we have done on how the brain works. Can I add something I think is very interesting? Is that when we watch horror movies, it doesn't, when we get scared, especially from horror movies, it doesn't affect the same part of the brain as we get scared in other situations. And this is very interesting for me because you act differently because you know you're in a safe environment, and it's actually more affecting your parts of the brain that has to do with, like if you would do parachuting. It's more of excitement, and it helps to release endorphins. Endorphin or something like that. In your brain, makes you happy pretty much. And this is very interesting for me that there's actually no technology out there that understands how we emotionally feel when we look at our computer screen. They try to mostly assume that by us liking something or rating it. And I don't think that's enough.
Okay.
So that's a very long answer.
Yeah, but okay, no, it's okay. And how was the early days? Did you start it alone? Did you start the company alone?
We were a couple of people in the beginning, and the funny thing is that when we started the company, we first went to Tele2, and we got them to sign a contract where they guarantees us a some amount of money for our product each month, and then we went and opened the aktiebolag and decided, yeah, we need employees, we need computers, we need an office, we actually need a company to deliver this now. And we found our first space in Videoholm. We were 4 people there. And what I really enjoyed about those times was that we didn't have a clue what we were doing. And that made it so much easier. You know, you didn't know what you were giving yourself into. Like, I need content licensing that I didn't have a clue I needed. I needed something called DRM, Digital Rights Management. Yeah, exactly. That was the same like question. What is that? And there was a lot of complications, and we never saw them. So we just kept building stuff, and we kept selling them, and people kept buying them. And we were like, wow, this is working. And that didn't hold for so long. Then the complications started. That it was, as I mentioned, much more complicated than we thought, which, yeah, we're going to get to this very soon on the challenges that I feel like was especially for a startup that didn't know how to create an organization, how to handle our paperwork, or even how to pay taxes and how to do all this kind of stuff. Yeah.
And then you met your co-founder.
Yeah, Klaus, I met 1.5 years afterwards, and the funny thing with Klaus is that I tried to recruit him for a long time. He had his own company called Sodio that he sold to an operator called Net at Once. It was like a Spotify, but they had music videos also. Spotify should listen to this. They also have music videos. Anybody from Spotify here? And I would try to work with him for so long, and he was very stubborn. He really wanted to finish his own entrepreneurial journey. And when he sold the company, I was so happy because I knew I finally could get him over. And he moved into my house 2011, to my apartment.
Yeah, people don't know that. Where do you live today?
Do I have to tell this?
No, where?
Isn't it bad enough I'm single? They have to know how I live.
No, but it's okay. It's good that they know how much you're into it.
I live in an apartment with 4 other developers and Klaus in Vällingby. And it's a choice I made 4 years ago.
So you live with your developers?
Yeah.
Okay.
My mom hates that. No grandchildren close, even. Not even close. She's honestly like my mom usually like. My sister recently came out and told that she's has a girlfriend after 33 sorry. And my mom really wants grandchildren. So she said, okay. So I lost that one. I'm not going to get any grandchildren there, so I'm all focused on you. But you lived with Klaus for 4 years now. Is this something you're going to talk to me about? Calm down. We have 4 other guys there. We can't do anything. No, she's always scared that like I also got to come out. I said, if I do, I can get kids. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
So yeah, my situation is not proper for a 33-year-old person. That
it's okay.
It's okay.
You
is
create
normal?
Yeah.
Okay.
You create your own.
Yeah.
So you managed to. What made Klaus change his mind to join you eventually?
I wish he was here so he could answer it, but I think Klaus and me are very alike. We don't have any boundaries for risk. We don't understand the word problem. We don't understand no. It's just we both like building stuff, and as soon as we have an idea, we just dig in and start doing it to see it worked, it didn't work. We don't sit around talking about it too much. And I can tell you, like living with somebody for 3 or 4 years is takes on your energy. And me and Klaus have not once had a fight. And that's something that I think...
It's a good relationship.
Yeah, my mom should be scared. I'm kidding.
Okay, so what happened to VionLabs after that? And we're going to talk about the funding.
Where are we now?
We're at the funding journey now. So you were able to get Klaus after a year and a half?
And me and Klaus, like I can tell you this funny story. It's me and Klaus, during our period that we started to work, we had this basic vision that is the product that we have today, and we continuously try to get closer to that. But to get there, we had to make money. And that was my job. And Klaus' job was to building stuff. So I went to a meeting and I met this guy from Lebanon. And he was a really good business guy, and he had so many connections. And he told me, yeah, there's an operator here in Lebanon, they need an IPTV system. I never built an IPTV system, I didn't know even what it is. So I come back to the office and tell Klaus, you're building an IPTV system. He's like, what? I mean, yeah, you better start studying. So we started studying, looking into books, what is this, what do we need to build, what does it include? And on the flight over to Lebanon, meeting the clients and the partners, I look at Klaus, I said, you think we're going to make this? He's like, yeah. And this is so funny. We come into their office, and they're like showing us around into the infrastructure and all these cables, and we go up to the roof looking at these big satellite dishes. I'm like in there. Yeah, the wind is good. Klaus, do you think they're like the satellite dishes? Are they look straight? They're like dunk 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 on them. Yeah, they're good quality. It's like we have not a clue what we're doing on this thing, or what are we supposed to look at, or why they asked us to come to the roof. We're just like, yeah, this is good. This is good. We can work with this. And 1 year later, we delivered an IPTV system, which was incredible, if you ask me. And that led us to another project in Nigeria. So yeah, that very, very fun place to go to Nigeria.
Yeah, let's keep Nigeria on hold. Right?
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
I keep that.
yeah. So what happened to VionLabs then after the IPT?
Oh yeah. During this, no, but Nigeria sooner.
So in Nigeria,
Yeah.
okay, go ahead.
It's the same period of time. Went to Nigeria, same project, building a small mobile TV, IPTV system. And the funny thing to work in this kind of environment, what I learned there is that you don't have the same challenges in working in Sweden. When you go to an environment like this, we're talking about, they have power issues each 30 minutes. So you're having a presentation, each 30 minutes you should count that you don't have any slides, you should be ready for this. And one of the most interesting parts, yeah, now I remember, this is going to come later on, but I think we can squeeze it in here.
Okay, squeeze it.
It's like one of my worst work experiences I ever had. I never understood that I would have to work with this kind of challenges when I gave myself into technology. It was like, we built this system up, we left Nigeria, we come to Sweden, we're like, nice, the project went very, very smoothly. We didn't thought that. We come to Sweden, suddenly we can access our servers or we can reach any of the stuff down there. We're like, what's going on? Then we get this email from this guy, not a Nigerian prince, but another kind of guy. And he's telling me that he works in the server room and he would like us to transfer $100 to his account to put the cables back into our servers. I'm like, what? I'm like, what? Can I talk to your manager? He's like, yeah. Talk to the manager, said you should transfer $100 to this guy to put the cables back in for you. And like, okay, this is the kind of stuff. So the whole experience down in Lebanon and Nigeria gave me a lot of perspective and on like what kind of challenges you could get when you think about a global company instead of local. Because if you look at the infrastructure in Sweden, we're very spoiled here. Everything works very good compared to that.
Compared to connectivity over there as well.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's talk about more about the funding round. How did you raise money for VionLabs?
We are now around 2014, and this is like, we made around maybe 16 products by this time. All of them around video on demand and movies. And our biggest client just pulled out their contract because they Tele2 sold the whole TV system to Telenor. And that financially put us in a situation where we had it very hard. And we had to find a way to kind of save the company. We weren't very far from being bankrupt. We were having a very, very hard time to surviving. And I was lucky enough of meeting two people that came into my life that they saved my ass. Yeah. That's all I can say. They kind of saved my ass in this situation. I understood actually afterwards how much I had to learn from the process of creating a company. I thought I already created a company. I thought I had a organization. I thought I had a good structure. No, I didn't have any of those. It was Stefan and Karin Lennhammar. They're here with us today, actually, which I'm very happy for.
How did you meet them?
Through Alan and Ami. They introduced us.
From Truecaller?
Yes, they introduced us to them. I met Stefan before, actually, and we had an interesting discussion about big organizations like the operators. And I don't know. They have to answer this question themselves, but I don't know really like what I did to make so good impression for them, because they've been so supportive from day one. And I'm not talking about they just invested money to come in and help us save the company that way. I mean, they taught me so much about how to actually create the organization, what that means, and how to, I can tell you this, I didn't mature as much as I did the last couple of years than I did from the beginning. We're now at like the beginning of 2014. Yeah. Stefan came in together with Karin, helped the company build up the organization. We recruited the right people. and I started to actually see the company grow in a different way. And we took the first round, you could say the kind of seed round, in a little bit later with Northern.
Yeah. So how much did you raise in general?
During the first round, it was around 25 million kroners.
And what happened after that?
After that, we started to working with our first product, which was like using the main system to create a consumer product and going through the challenges of meeting the consumers directly, which was very new to us and a very, very fun experience, to be honest. It's nothing as rewarding to working with consumers directly. You get to see the effect directly, you get to see the results. It was a very fun experience there. So we had a 1 full year that we were working with that in a closed beta to a more public beta up until lately.
And what happened after that? You faced some challenges?
Yeah, we had a very hard time finding a sustainable business model, which I think has become more and more important lately. Me and Klaus, none of us enjoy building a company that didn't make money. We always liked to be able to carry our own load, both personal and as a company. So it was a very natural step to going to something that we both knew very good and working with the network that we continuously were working with. So if it wasn't for our first consumer product, we would never have the connections to be able to enable the B2B product.
So when did you decide to change? Take us to that place. Where were you? How did you decide?
I was sitting with one of the bigger companies, and they gave us their full support, and we were sitting and having this very interesting talk on how they could work together with us. And I'm not going to mention the name of the company, but they're very big and very, very big. One of the main companies around media, and we felt like we really were reaching out to them, and they said, yeah, you can have access to all the data you need to enable one service like this. But the only problem is that they squeezed into a contract where they said that we couldn't have or ask for any kind of income for driving traffic to them or driving users to them or new registered users for the next 18 months. We started to understand that being in that part of the value chain wasn't really enabling the industry like the way we wanted. So moving back in the value chain, helping all of these industries instead of competing against them, it created suddenly an environment where everybody reached out to us and wanted to work with us, and we saw also a very great opportunity to make money. And not just to make money to survive for now, a sustainable long-term business model that we actually could create a great company around. And that felt not just appealing, it felt natural to move there. So yeah, that's why we went there. Big organizations are very bad at working with smaller startups because they see them as small innovation hubs that they can use to move forward.
So this was in December?
Yeah, around December something.
2015?
Yes.
Yeah. So you had that meeting, and then what happened?
And then we came back and we talked it internally, and everybody everybody in the organization said the same thing, like, this feels so much better, it feels more right, and so we decided to move on.
So you switched the business?
Yeah.
And now you're...
We didn't switch the business, we enabled the product for everybody instead of having it exclusively for ourselves and trying to reach the end customers. Because the aggregation role you see today, everybody wants to be aggregated. Apple is being there, Google is being there, the big operators being there. Everybody wants to have this relationship to the end customer so they can build them. And if you're going to stand there in the value chain, you're going to have a very hard time challenging these kind of companies.
And are you going to use the same platform for the B2B?
Exactly. It's the same system pretty much, same code, everything, but with partners instead.
Okay. So tell us about that round that you raised, because we don't know the details yet.
The round we recently did, it's
Yes.
around 20 million this time, and yeah, we it's together with Tommy Jakobsson and Zenit, as you guys know. Really great guy. We really felt like the first time we met that we both understood each other, and he was very easygoing, very straight up guy, talked his mind. It was a very smooth process for both of us, I felt. Yeah, there's not so much more to add to that, actually.
Okay, so it's a new relationship.
It's a new relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Will you raise more funds in the future?
We will see.
Yeah, we will
It's
see.
for the future to tell.
Okay. And how many people work at VionLabs today?
We're 16 people, mostly engineers.
Engineers. What
Yes.
do you do in the company?
I don't have a clue.
Yeah.
I do everything. I project manage a lot of the stuff right now, but we're looking into that. And I work very close to the product and our partners. I really enjoy being close to our partners so I can understand their needs and developing the products that way. But I work a lot with our customers, partners, and product development.
And you told me you did the servers as well.
Yeah, I love building stuff, so it's very therapeutic. So I build pretty much all of our hardware myself, which is very fun.
Okay.
I'm never gonna get a date if you're gonna continue like this. Like everybody's hearing all this. I'm being very geeky.
But it's okay to be geeky. Our last guest said geeky is the new. I don't know.
Right?
Yeah, he said the new thing. Being geeky is cool. Okay. So Arash, let's talk about what motivates you.
Building stuff. I'm a creator. I'm an old artist. I do paintings. You know, I love seeing something come to life. It's like, for me, it's black magic. Somebody writes code and suddenly something pops up on my screen and I can click it and interact with it. If you come to our apartment, we have a very interesting system where we have interconnected all the televisions together because we don't hang around the living room so much, which makes it not so social, especially so many people living in one place. So we have created small webcams in each room, so when everybody's watching TV in their rooms, it's tracking their faces. So I can see their face on the right side of my corner, so if they're laughing, I can laugh, and I can socialize with these guys. And we're in the same freaking apartment, which is ridiculous.
Yeah. That's cool, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit cool.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not gonna ask you. Do you want me to ask you what was the worst day of your life? Other than the Nigerian thing, do you have anything else to say?
You can ask that, but it's the thing, I don't have a worst day of my life. I don't know how to say it. I have a very good life.
Well, you don't hear that often. That's nice.
We're sitting in a very good part of the world. We don't have anything to complain over here.
Yeah.
I feel.
Who provides you with like support? Who is there for you? I mean, family, friends, developers.
Mom, dad, my sister, Stefan and Karin. Alan and Nami has taken a lot of therapeutic calls with me. Samira, a lot of therapy there. I have a lot of close friends that I talk a lot about when it comes to this.
And you were talking about that a lot of great infrastructure here in Sweden. So comparing to 2010, if we compare it to now 2016, how do you see the startup scene?
Oh, it's very different. Back then, it was very hard just looking at financing or meeting people to get financing. It's if you look at it now, there's so much help out there. A lot of good programs, a lot of good incubators. I think especially the Stockholm startup scene have grown very, very much. It's compared to back then, pretty much. I remember before I met Stefan and Karin, I never got a yes on investment. And then I met them and they taught me how to build an organization, and I understood what I was doing wrong. So maybe that was the problem. I'm not maybe sure I'm the right guy to ask. I feel it's easier now to talk with investors. They see it startup very differently. Back then they saw me very much as a young guy, and now it doesn't matter. People don't see your age anymore. I'm not so young anymore either. So back then I was young.
How old are you, Arash?
Stop telling.
Okay.
Who knew that? You Googling me? No. I'm 33. I'm 33.
Okay. Do you think there's something that is? Do you think there's something needed that is missing in the Stockholm tech scene?
I think this what we're doing right now. It's like this thing I've been missing a lot is a transparent environment where you can talk freely about your mistakes. You can talk freely about the challenges you went through, and so you can actually learn from each other. Because the most of the environments I see, you have to go up and brag and talk about everything that went good, and that makes it very hard for us to learn something from each other.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel that one of the best parts of Stockholm's startup scene is that people are very close to each other, and they become very close friends, and everybody helps out each other very, very soon. I can tell you, like, Alan and Nami helped me a lot in the beginning, even though I couldn't like help them much, and they didn't know me very well. And that was like, I could see that wasn't like personal just because of me. It was, I could see them that they have this in them because they had got the help to build their company with some great people. They are using that to help other people, and this is the kind of attitude that I think it's needing much more here in Stockholm.
Paying it forward.
Yeah, paying it forward attitude and forums where you can be more transparent.
Yes. Okay, I have to tell the people that I had the question on asking you about tips on work and life balance. And what do you remember? What did you tell me? When was the last time? Okay, I will rephrase it. When was the last time you took a vacation?
2010 December, Sharm el Sheikh. It was nice.
6 years ago.
Yeah, actually for the first time I met the guy that we did business on with Lebanon, so I spent the last 3 days discussing business.
And you said that you forced vacation on Christmas time, was it?
Yeah, for everybody. It's the environment has to become like people forget to take vacation, or they don't do it, or we just enjoy our work a lot there. So it's been. I travel a lot with the work. I go to Nigeria. I don't need any vacation. That way, I just never thought about it. So asking me about life and work balance, worst person in the world.
But do you think, let's say, when the business changes or grows, develops to something else, sometimes the people you are living with, your developers who work for you and with you, you might fire them. Would that put you in an awkward situation?
I always ask this question, I ask myself this question, like, am I getting too close to our co-workers and people in the office? And the thing is, when you're 16 people, when you're 10 people, when you're 5 people, it's very hard not being close to them. So what I always felt is that as long as I'm transparent with these people, we're going to have a very easy relationship ongoing. And that always came back and helped me. Like, I've been in this situation a couple of times. And every single time it's been very easy because we've been always very open to each other on how to handle this kind of situation. So no, I wasn't very worried about that. At times I could ask myself, like, what would happen if that day came up?
Mm-hmm.
And that day came up, and I think because of the open environment, it was much easier. It's like I mentioned, it's very few people I think that can go up to the CEO of the company and talk about that they're maybe not happy with something the CEO said or something he did, and we're not having this kind of environment in our office. If somebody's unhappy with something, they're not scared of expressing that, and I think that's very, very important in our work environment.
Mm-hmm. Open, transparent.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a few more questions before I open the questions to the audience.
Yeah.
If you would go back in time and reset everything, would you do anything differently?
Nothing. It's I really believe in the butterfly effect. Like, if you change something, everything else would change. If I would change something back or reset anything, I wouldn't have met the people that I met, and if I didn't meet them, I probably wouldn't develop to the person that I am today. And yeah, I don't understand living with regrets. It doesn't work.
So the butterfly effect.
Yeah, it's pretty much, I believe that everything has a meaning, even the bad times. Ooh, I have to think about my language.
Yeah. It's okay. I think it's allowed in Startup Grind, right, Jonas? Yeah.
No.
Okay, two last questions. What are your favorite startups in hopefully in Sweden?
I have a lot of them. I like Fishbrain is one of the new startups that I really enjoy following.
Do you fish?
I fish a lot.
Yeah?
Actually. Yeah, I enjoy fishing. I have a profile on Fishbrain and 2-3 catches, I think. My friend caught them and I took the pictures. I like Universal Avenue. I think they're sitting here at Stock 46. It's also a great company with a great business idea. I don't need to mention Truecaller. You guys know
By
that I
default.
enjoy them. Other interesting startups around it. There's a lot of them now. It's a hard time to pointing out, but that's the ones that I can come up.
Okay, 3. That's good. And I think I don't know the answer to this question yet, but what is your favorite movie?
That's a very complicated question. It's if I want to be professional, I lie and say The Godfather. I never seen that movie, believe it or not. Who can sit through 3 hours people talking? Come on. It's very interesting. Can I squeeze something in here? I'm born in the wrong era. There's actually studies on this, and people that's born in 82 and forward, we were grown up with a lot of franchises like Indiana Jones, Batman, and all of these kind of movies had a different pace, speed. And I grew up with this kind of content, and starting working with movies, I realized I can't tell people I haven't seen The Godfather. It's embarrassing. I work with movies. I should know everything about that movie. So I read the story about it, and I keep talking about it like I watched it. But my favorite movie right now, I like a lot of space movies.
Yeah, I can see you brought some.
Yeah, Interstellar.
Stellar.
I'm very into claustrophobic movies. I like movies where a lot of people are squeezed into a small area. Sounds weird, right? Like movies in elevators are very interesting, and movies in airplanes. And this is kind of the basic stuff that got us to spin off the system on VionLabs that we built. It was very hard for me to find these kind of movies. So having a system that could analyze the video and find it was perfect for me, because a lot of people in a small area creates a very intense and interesting psychological environment. And yeah, movies where people get stuck in the elevator, kidnappings on airplanes is interesting. I should stop talking now, right?
That's okay.
Yeah.
So
Giving too much info.
it's okay.
So yeah, it's a mix. I watch everything. I can watch black and white movies from 1950s all the way to new movies now.
But not The Godfather.
Not The Godfather,
Okay.
God no.
Okay. Okay, let's.
There's 3 of them. 3 times 3 hours. It's worse than Lord of the Rings.
Okay, let's. I need some help with the microphone. We have already a question. Can someone help me from the team with the microphones? Mine? You want to take mine?
I guess. Who's on?
Oh, it's audience questions.
Yes.
Hey, Arash.
Hey, hello.
So, you said you like movies that are built environment, right?
Yes.
Is that why you live with your developers?
Yes.
No?
It creates a very interesting, intense environment at home.
Yes.
Hi.
Hi.
My name is Shirley. One of your, what you said earlier about going to Tele2 first before having your oxybologen,
Yeah.
were you ever nervous at a point that you would talk to them and they sort of take your idea and decide, oh, we can do that. We can, we can hire the engineers and figure it out, but steal your idea. Was that ever in the back? I'm assuming no, because you just said you don't think about risk. But
You answered the question. Thank you. Both the question and the answer. I can tell you like this. It's, yeah, of course, we never understood that there was like any risk to it. But also at the same time, the operators are so slow. So we weren't scared that they would be able to build it, because they had so much money, so much resources, so much time, and they still wouldn't do it. So like, probably something's wrong internally, and they need to buy this kind of services. though something I learned during the process is that a lot of big organization uses, as I mentioned, startups as innovation hubs and as people that are very hungry and forward. So that was something that I underestimated and felt like during the process that they used us very much and costed us more money than it was supposed to.
Can I have a follow-up question? I stole the mic from her, because that's probably one of my fears, is sometimes trying to partner with big brands and say, okay, you know, maybe how easy is it for them to go out and like basically take the idea? Well, not really take it, but decide it's easier to just...
You should never be scared of that, if you ask me. You should always be open about your ideas, because you're gonna mostly meet people that's gonna help you out and give you more feedback on the people that steal your idea. We're like, we're 7 billion people now. If they wanted to steal your idea, probably would have done it by now and been long ahead. So you should never be scared of it. I think Martin Lorentzon said that openly in an interview, where you should be much more transparent talking to people, never scared of somebody stealing your idea.
Spotify?
Yeah.
Arash, I know a little bit about you from before,
Yes.
but I wanted to know, a question I didn't ask you before, is when do you start and how do you start marketing? Because that is something for small startups, I think, that is quite hard. You need a budget, you need the right people. So how do you reach out?
First of all, you gotta identify your target group. Now, I'm the worst person to ask about when it comes to marketing and communication, but as I felt that something we did good and well during our process with VionLabs is that we always made sure we were in the right forums for our target group. So if we work with mobile operators, we were in a lot of events around there and trying to meet the right people instead of trying to do big marketing and try to reach them through, say, ad on EDG or something like this. It was much better to try to personally make PR by getting them to understand our ideas and selling them one-on-one. So I'm a much more hands-on, one-on-one person when it comes to communication and PR. I'm very bad at massive, big PR and communications.
Thanks for your talk.
Thank you.
My question is about a little bit more technical details about the mechanism that you use. You said that.
Finally, nice.
Yeah. You said that you extract like the feelings that will be gives to the audience. What is the mechanism behind?
I can go back to this. This is actually an interesting story of one of my challenges I didn't talk about with you, is that back in 2009, I got anxiety attacks, panikångest. And I went to therapy for this, and they gave me a lot of pills, sleeping pills, other kind of pills for anxiety. I kept eating this, and I felt like nothing is happening, this is not helping, and I wasn't getting any better. So I picked up this book about anxiety attacks, and I started reading about it, and I learned that anxiety attacks is actually a reflex. Back from Stone Ages, we had these anxiety attacks in our brain that went up whenever we were in a dark, unsafe environment. Our brain told us to get the hell out of that environment. Now that reflex developed into a disease later on. And what caught me when I read this book was that it was triggered by dark environments, mostly. Why? Because we grew up in the woods, and we understood that dark is not safe. People are scared of the dark, they're not scared of the sun, right? And light is something that brings life, it makes stuff grow, the sun, and that's something safe and positive. And we haven't had a lot of people like praying to the sun like a god. So this created this foundation for me that there's actually a psychological connection between the visual stuff that we see, that we grow up with, that is in our backbone. And you can't get away from that. And we try to teach our system how to understand this kind of emotional values. Like when I watch something, here's a good example. Would you watch a scary movie when it's sunny outside and the birds are singing and people are out there and enjoying themselves? It's not the environment for it. Now it's thunder outside, it's raining, you have a couple of lights, you have a glass of wine, it's Friday, and then it feels much better to watch a scary movie because the environment is right. And that's what movies are all about. Escaping the reality and get to another environment. That's why we play games. That's why we get into this kind of worlds. And to create a system that could pick that up was much more complex than I thought. So we started measuring brain waves, looking at, we used one of the Swedish startup products, Tobii, to measure where your eyes are looking at the screen. We measured the pulse. So we made a very interesting experiment. Have you guys seen the movie Human Centipede? You're terrible, all of you. You should have seen that movie. It's a very, very bad movie. It is. It's terrible. And we gathered our audience, put them in a cinema, and we measured their sweat in the hands and their pulse to create the ratings and say what they thought about the movie instead of them rating it themselves. And what was interesting to see is that the people that said that they didn't enjoy the movie, they were emotionally most affected. They got mostly scared about it or disgusted and so on. And this was very interesting for us to pick up and try to further on build this and create a validation system, especially, where you know that this is a positive outcome or negative. That's a long answer.
Yeah, because I still can't get, but anyway, what are exactly the parameters that you can get from a user? Because other than like...
They're very, very simple. You're, imagine this situation. In the whole value chain, you have the studios that produce the movie, right? You've seen the series House of Cards? How many people seen it? A lot of people. It's a great TV series. And the only reason it's great is because Netflix knew everything about us. They knew we liked Kevin Spacey. They knew that we liked the old British TV series House of Cards. And they had data that understood us. And the production company that made that TV series had even analytics in the script room where they wrote the script to see how many percentage of foul language they should have in each episode. This kind of data is why Netflix is winning now. And this is what we're providing, not just for production companies, but to create better recommendations for you as a user. So you have a recommendation engine behind it. Then you have the analytics for the communicators to know how and what to communicate to what target group when it comes to movies. And then you have the part where you can actually create and make better production and buy better content for your service. Now, as an example, 15,000 titles are being published every week in Sweden. How many of those do you think find their audience? From those, there's a handful of them that we know about, and that's what we watch. And if the production company don't have enough marketing money, it's going to be very hard for them to find their audience. And that is the problem that we're trying to solve. It's an API and SDK that you can use to improve the whole value chain. Long answer.
Good answer.
Again.
Another question.
Hi. I was wondering, you were telling that you were just solving problems on the go, like you didn't know, and your history is just take them on and just solve them. But by experience, when you get a little more experience, you want to anticipate and play the chess game a bit more better. So what are you doing now? What is your big next learning curve? What kind of experience and talent are you trying to gather around you so you can play the chess game a bit more in another way, I guess?
First of all, I can't do everything by myself. That's something I learned during the process, is that try to find good and great people around me. Without a good team, I'm not able to do anything good. So finding people that can help me out during the process, like I can't have 4 roles in the company, thinking that I'm the entrepreneur and I can do both HR, I can do the project management, I can be the CEO, I can handle the bills. I'm not going to be able to do any of those good. So learning pretty much how to delegate, which is much harder than you think as an entrepreneur, just giving away control to somebody else and let them run parts of the product or the company or organization. Second of all is risk analysis. I never did that kind of stuff before. Now I actually started to learn on how to calculate a development project, what it's going to cost me and how much money I'm going to invest into this. And this is the kind of stuff I think a lot of early stage entrepreneurs are missing, that they learn during the way that the small stuff that you feel is not important become much more important by the end of the day. Like saying you don't need anybody to work with HR. Yeah, I know everybody in the company, I can negotiate with all of them, I can talk. No, you can't. You need good people around you that can help out. So that's the biggest lesson I can say I think now.
the next step for VionLabs, and what is the next adventure for Arash?
That's a great question. Arash have planned a vacation 2025. No. For me, I'm going to continue with this journey. It's very, very far to go. We can sit here and talk about like we can come far. Sure, we've been around for 6 years, but I still feel we have at least another 6 to 10 years to go to reach the visions that we have in the company. For VionLabs, we have a lot of amazing projects coming up with great partners and big companies that's going to implement our product very shortly. That's all I can say for now. I'm being very cryptical, sorry. We good? Any other questions?
I have a question. You strike me as the kind of person who has a lot of ideas for businesses all the time.
Yes, correct.
Yeah. I was wondering, how do you know what business to actually do? Because you have like all these ideas for businesses, but what is it for you that makes it clearly this is investable or an idea to pursue? What is your process?
If you're going to ask me that question now and back 5 years ago, you would get probably two totally different answers. I would say that by the end of the day, I go for the ideas that I feel, first of all, that we have great passion for and care for. If I don't care about the project, I'm never going to do it well. Second of all, I'm very much looking into sustainability. There's a lot of companies creating different strategies around different ways of getting out with their product, but few of them start thinking about business models at early stage. And that's one of the things that I feel is very important these days, and I'm trying to look into that much more. And so when I see, like, when we decided to go this way, it was a lot of gut feeling, self-esteem, because I felt suddenly much more self-confident when I talked about our new ways of working, and the gut feeling just felt like this is right. People are begging us to get this product. They're willing to throw money at us, and I'm happy that they will, and I will join them on this. I hope I answered your question.
Okay, yeah, one more. Maybe the last question? Yeah?
No, do I need this one? Okay.
Yeah.
How much is your experience with this that you said about panikångest?
It's a lot.
Yeah.
So it was a pretty intense period of time where I tried to build up my career. You can never say that anxiety attacks really leave you. They're always there.
No, but how much does it have to do with your innovation here? Because it's connected to emotions.
Yeah, a lot. It's what I can say. I studied some minor psychology, but I never really understood it until I could experience it the way that I did.
Yeah.
It's I listened to this amazing TED talk about this female surgeon that studied the human heart, and she started to get a heart attack. And as a scientist, during the process, she was so fascinated that she could study it from this side now. So during the process, she was taking notes while she was calling 911 and having a heart attack. Like, what's the process I'm going through? Oh, I can't, my brain is shutting down. And that really like inspired me a lot when I saw that TED talk, especially like how to use the emotional experiences I have into. You don't need to have a PhD in psychology to understand how you feel when you watch something and how it makes you feel. So yeah, it had to do a lot, I would say, with the basic idea of our company.